One of the greatest goaltenders in college lacrosse history do his thing, but now he has to answer the bell. He's probably the only question mark of this team, but he can play at an elite level.
Shea Keetler and Will Lynch at the face-off dot will get us going on the GT emblem here in Atlanta, and we're underway. Big battle for it. Lynch has the advantage, but can't pick up the GB. Now Keetler's battling for it. Still loose, and eventually the Irish pick it up. Look at this field here today, Kark. They've scrubbed the football lines at Bobby Dodd. It is a beautiful, made-for-lacrosse field turf.
70 degrees in the south, as both of these clubs have weathered a February with disaster type implications. So to be on this field in this type of atmosphere, this is a tremendous opportunity to start the month of March for the sport of lacrosse.
And both undefeated, ranked numbers 1 and 2 in the country respectively. Kavanaugh comes back upfield. Got it to McLean, another veteran. So many veterans on this Notre Dame team, mixed in with some great young talent. Here's Angrick. Goes to his right, has a shot, too high.
What makes this Notre Dame midfield so dangerous is how two-handed all the players like Angrick are. You watch them on tape, they score with both hands. They use the top portion of the offensive zone to their advantage in terms of just seeing where defensive players are overcommitting.
Man inside, behind the back, scores! Of course, it's Jake Taylor to put the Irish on the board first.
This is big for the Irish because when you defend Notre Dame, you have to deal with Jake Taylor inside. You're going to deny him of the ball, or you're going to come off of him and support these matchups. Maryland is deciding to slide, but when Jake Taylor's in slide, he's one of the worst players you can leave because he's automatic. And he shows you the backhand ability. Notre Dame loves it. Last week, Georgetown decided not to go off of Taylor. He had 0 goals and 0 assists, but he changed the complexity of the offense because it gave all those midfielders room to operate because there's no slide.
Lynch, the All-American at the face-off circle, wins it back to a teammate, and that was Tyler Buckner. Quarterback on the Notre Dame football team, former Alabama quarterback, 12 and white. Second midfield now running for the Irish. You'll see 8 different midfielders getting time for Notre Dame, especially on a day when it's warm like this. A lot of coaches talk about Taylor inside here with the shot. Looks like I hit the pipe. Stays with the Irish and Maharris. Will Maharris, advantage for Notre Dame, scores! Kavanaugh on the doorstep. They're moving at lightning speed here early, Kark.
Will Maharris was a attackman in high school with vision and the ability to dissect the defense. He's playing midfield right now for Kevin Corrigan and offensive coordinator Chris Wojcik. You see the ability to throw that through pass to the backside, and this is where Kavanaugh loves to set his feet. When you give him the ball around 5 and 5, a lot of players like to just place it there. He puts everything into that shot.
Another clean face-off win, this time back to Alakwa. And as you might have expected, Will Lynch, the All-American at the face-off dot for Notre Dame with an early advantage. It's been make it, take it here early.
Yeah, Will Lynch struggled last year in the championship game against Maryland at the face-off X. He's been terrific, though, in the month of May, the last 2 years outside of that game.
Right. And he's not going against Luke Weirman either today. Turnover for the Irish.
You know, you could point to the Liam Entemans and the Chris and Pat Kavanaughs and the Jake Taylors of the world over the last 2 years going back-to-back. Will Lynch has been a central piece of taking this team to new heights.
Terps able to clear it. We'll get a chance to see Maryland 6v6 for the first time today. A lot of new faces. Matthew Keegan, who had the ball there. This is Bryce Ford, transferring from Fairfield.
Keegan and Ford were both attackmen in their previous stops. Keegan at Binghamton and Ford at Fairfield. Both led their teams in scoring for 2 straight years. Now they're playing midfield for John Tillman.
That's Keegan right there, 36 in black, over to Ford. Got a shorty on him down the alley. Now the slide comes with Nate Schwitzenberg. New name for the Irish, 27. I know you really like the way he's played this year.
He's been terrific the first few games.
Be a look here, score! It's Eric Spanos, puts the Terps on the board.
Spanos, a KG vet, redshirt junior. He's a big boy at 6'5". You see, he catches this ball, and Campisi tries to go over his head. Campisi's about 5'11". If you don't land this check, you're in trouble because you're shot ready and you're going to make it count. Campisi should lead with the body there and match the bottom hand of Spanos, not go over his head there. He got roasted.
John Tillman, 15th season as the Maryland head coach. His numbers are unbelievable. 10 Final Fours in 15 seasons and 8 championship games.
He's been the modern standard in terms of getting to championship weekend. And last year was one of his greatest coaching jobs, getting that team to the finals. When they struggled big time in spots.
6 games during the year.
I mean, the offense was absent for about a month in April. And then all of a sudden they make some tweaks and they change some personnel, and Tillman does what Tillman does. Coach at an elite level.
He's doing it again this year. They lost elite players like Ajax Zapatello, Luke Weirman, Daniel Maltz, and yet here they are, undefeated, ranked number 2 in the country.
He's having fun with this team. I talked to John Tillman quite a bit, and you can tell by his tone that he loves going to practice with this group all the time because it's a selfless group. Offensively, there are no stars. But together, they're making it count.
Here's Jordan Faison. Back to Kavanaugh. He'll step in, and that hit the pipe. All the way back to the Maryland offensive end, picked up by Richard Daly. He'll get it back onto the offensive end for the Irish.
People talk about Kavanaugh and the fearless Dodger he is. 50 and white can let it fly when he sets his feet. He had a shot last week against Georgetown when he was coming around goal line extending. Instead of just continuing his stride, he set his feet and hammered it.
Angrick on the run, steered aside. McNaney picks up his first save of the day. Fresh 60-second shot clock in college lacrosse. It's an 80-second shot clock, and the officials want to reset it, make sure it goes to 60, which it does when it hits either the goalie or the pipe.
Talking to Chris Wojcik, too, he loves moving Chris Kavanaugh around. Right now, he's at the top of the box. He's an attackman playing in a traditional midfield spot. He's a 360 attackman. Move him anywhere around.
Angrick gets a good look here. Save made by McNaney. So a couple in rapid succession for the All-American.
You see how he didn't guess? Trusts his technique. It's the top hand speed. Stick on stick, and you are not going to rattle Logan McNaney. He is the most experienced goalie in all of college lacrosse. He's a 6th-year senior. He's played in multiple national championship games. He loves the pressure cooker.
Maryland setting it up off the top. Keegan on the run. That's Whittier. Angle gets shut off. Still 24 seconds on the shot clock, so plenty of time. Whittier now near side. Keegan.
He wants his left.
Forced to keep it in his right. They go back to X, now back to the other side. Defense all over the place. Great job by the Irish converging on the ball.
And there was Schwitzenberg, and I love that combination of Light, 90, and Schwitzenberg, 27. Both sophomores, and you have a sophomore eligibility-wise in Thomas Ricciardelli. That is a wealth of talent, of young talent for many years for Coach Kevin Corrigan and defensive coordinator Ryan Wellner. I mean, that combination of Schwitzenberg and Light, that's about as good of a young 1-2 punch in all of college lacrosse.
Yeah, you can make the argument Light was the best freshman close defender in the country last year, and he's picked up right where he left off. Finley loses his footing. You know, number 6 in white, Fisher Finley's got some family here. Played his high school lacrosse at Milton High School in Alpharetta. That pass goes wanting. Stays on the offensive end. So a nice shot that time by Will Gallagher to prevent the over and back. Shot clock down at 25. Bounce shot goes wide. That time it was Matt Jeffrey, the freshman, number 5 in white. Look at another great freshman for the Irish.
Number 1 rated recruit in all of the nation last year. Cheshire, Connecticut, 2-sport athlete at Notre Dame with football. So he's going to be a little rusty in the early stages of this season, but he is electric.
Harris with the bad pass, the turnover. Maryland will try to take advantage and tie this thing up. Great crowd assembling here at Bobby Dodd Stadium as well. Lower bowl on the far side, getting filled up with green on the right, red on the left. On what is a beautiful day here in Atlanta and a huge day on this campus. Georgia Tech has a basketball game, a football game, tennis match, softball game today, and this great lacrosse game here at Bobby Dodd.
So you're saying I have no shot to make it to the airport after the game?
You just got to get out of this campus. That'll be the toughest part. Stobaugh. Elijah Stobaugh, sophomore from Florida, went to IMG. Out of the near side, Jack Schultz, another great freshman. 2 number 5s, both freshmen for these two teams respectively.
Schultz from Ridgewood, New Jersey. He's an attackman in high school. I watched his tape this past week. He was getting to the rack, dominating matchups. He has a bright future.
There he is, loses the ball initially, gets it back. We'll get it up to Aiden Aiken. It's another young man who's been getting a lot more playing time as the season progresses. Stobaugh gets his left hand free, but Ricciardelli makes the save.
That was the look Stobaugh wanted because Campisi got caught in a pick, had his hands free, and that's a big stop for Ricciardelli. Critical for Maryland is finding some matchups. It's going to be tough sailing for the local boy, Braden Erksa, being defended by Sean Light. Spanos on Schwitzenberg, so you're going to have some of these middies like Stobaugh find the back of the net.
This is trouble out of the box. McLean opted to pass it. Thought he might have had a good look one-on-one with McNady. Instead, he'll pass it off. Ben Ramsey will substitute out the short stick D midi. Here's face-on.
This is dangerous on a shorty.
Look at that shot.
You got to support that matchup. When 14 in white has the ball against a short stick, you have to show, even if you have to leave Jake Taylor, force him to be a passer because his feet are too quick, his straight line speed, he's going to get a shot.
And that shot on the run had a lot of heat behind it. Now back to face on up top.
And now they have the pole on him.
Let's go, team!
That's McLean. Kavanaugh, head up, looking for a pass. Trying to get it to Taylor, but it goes wanting. Officials let the Terps play, and that's going to be a bad turnover. Try to get some quick offense, and Erksa couldn't handle the pass.
That's the look you want against a stingy Notre Dame defense. You got to hit in transition. I think Maryland is a team that's very methodical at times, but they do show on tape the ability to push in spots, and that was one of those critical spots where I think Erksa just probably thought of where the ball's going after he catches before he actually catches the ball.
Harris again with the Irish. We talked about the waves of midfielders. Coach Corrigan not afraid to run several lines out there, and on a warm day, players are warmed up. He's not afraid to do it.
Well, the depth last year was a big part of their success in winning it all. They ran 9 midfielders. 5 midfielders who scored in last year's championship game are still on this team.
That's amazing. There's one right there. McNady makes the save. He's sharp early.
I mean, Connor, to put it in perspective, there are times where you'll get only 2 or 3 players in a game from the midfield that will score goals. They have 5 who scored in that championship game who are back in 2025. So you had all that depth, the 9 guys from a year ago. Now you have this tremendously talented group of middies for Notre Dame. Athletic two-way guys, two-handed. They're going to be a bear to deal with. That is Will Donovan playing defense, chasing and harassing.
Relentless. Stamos is going to get a look here. Ricciardelli makes the save.
He's made a couple big stops. I like his ability to gobble it low, too. We talk about a patient goalie and Logan McNady. Both of these guys are not guessers on those low shots. Ricciardelli, I thought last week against Georgetown, struggled in the first quarter, but 16 saves down the stretch. He was a bright spot.
Face on, 14 in white. You just cannot take your eyes off him. Star wide receiver on the football team. Took a couple of weeks off after the Irish played for the national championship, but he is fresh now and ready to go. The freshman, Picorni. If you're a freshman and you're getting run on either one of these two teams, Clark, you're a heck of a player.
Yeah, Picorni, 80 in white, has some of those stick skills and crazy shots like Jake Taylor. I mean, behind the backs, wraparounds. He's got the hands.
I asked Coach to describe his play, and he said, "Score by face-on." More on that later. Got to give 14 in white his flowers, though. Fresh off the gridiron. He knows what it's like to play in a football stadium like this, Clark, but he can do it on the lacrosse field as well.
They wanted to hold him out, keep him fresh. Target this game. Last week against Georgetown, he had a couple runs. One, he stuck the corner with his left hand. This time he goes back to his dominant right, and Notre Dame is up.
5th season here, and Chris Wojcik, former Harvard head coach, also an assistant on the staff. Like any other sport in college, Clark, it's hard to keep good assistants because everybody else wants him as a head coach somewhere.
But Kevin Corrigan also knows his system. Like, he's been running the same defense for 37 years, right?
Yeah.
and he does it exceptionally well. It's not a matchup-oriented type defense. They switch on picks. They just stay true to who they are. They're simple, but they're great at being simple.
Here come the Irish once again. Out of the TV timeout. Field has been tilted in much of this first quarter on this side of the field with the Irish offensively. Angrick working on the right side. Back to Kavanaugh at X. Tried to get the switch. Long pull stays on Kavanaugh. That's a tough shot. Sails it wide, it'll go to Maryland. Nobody backing up for the Irish.
Will Schaller, 27 in black, has tremendous leg strength. He's also a lefty too, so he plays into the strength of the right-handed dodging Kavanaugh. Schaller was a hockey player. You know when you see those hockey quads? He's got them. Like, you're not going to bully him physically. I think if you're Chris Kavanaugh, you want to move Schaller more. You get into the body, advantage 27.
Final minute of this first quarter. Spanos, for the second time today, finds the back of the net.
How about the deception of Eric Spanos? His ability to lull Schwitzenberg to sleep, Connor, right? It looks like he's catching the ball, and then he plants his foot to get underneath him. How quick he changes the direction. Looks like it's just going to be a catch and a transfer. but in just a moment's time, it's the plan of the foot to get underneath. I don't think 27 in white had any clue that he was going to the rack so aggressively right off of that catch.
Maryland making the most of their opportunities. 2 goals on just 4 shots in this first quarter. Now they got to prevent something happening here with Will Lynch winning it to himself off the face-off dot. And that's exactly what Maryland was hoping for right there. The quick turnover, no quick offense.
Spanos came to play. He's got the energy, he's got the juice, he's got the experience. He's played Notre Dame multiple times, and he's not flinching. This is best on best in the sport of lacrosse. We have the 2 top teams. We got top players, we got neutral site, we got backhand goals.
Able to pick up the stick again, have teammates be able to play here at Bobby Dodd Stadium. That meant a lot to me, just like it does now with old guy lacrosse and those guys, to be able to just, you know, play with your teammates, the sport that you love.
I would have loved to have seen a photo of Cotter in college there with the rolled up sleeves all jacked up.
I was not all jacked up, that was a problem. Really is almost surreal, though, to be here at Bobby Dodd and have seen so many football games on this field. To be able to see a lacrosse game on turf, and Richard Daly was forced to make that save after Keitler won the face-off cleanly to himself.
He's had 3 saves in this game so far, and every single one of them is low. They've had success shooting high on Richard Daly. The problem, Cotter, is you don't want to get into a shooter's head too much. Like, you got to shoot high, you got to shoot high. But right now, he has been exceptional low.
And that was the first save of the first face-off win, I should say, of the day for Shea Keitler. Almost got a goal out of it.
He's a fire hydrant.
Oh, he is, yeah.
5'10", 220.
Tree trunks for legs. He's the more physical of the 2 face-off men we'll see today for Maryland. Tic-tac-toe passing, and it's loose in front, picked up by the Terps.
The Terps have been awesome clearing the ball this season at 92%. Sometimes Notre Dame will get into a press ride, a lot of times later in the game. But this is where John Tillman's so good with his teams. Rarely do they make a mistake like that. That is a blown clear that could cost you, and that is not typical of this Terp team right now in 2025.
They did a great job of getting back in the hole, though, Cart, because Faison was the one who picked off that pass. More like a DB than a receiver, but he was trying to make some quick offense out of it. Maryland didn't let him. Tough angle shot goes wide. Notre Dame closest to the ball as it goes out of bounds, so they'll retain possession.
You know, you think of a blown clear, and then, okay, you're in settled D. You can't give this offense extra chances. There's just too much talent.
Stoppage of play. The officials want to maybe see if that ball was tipped by McNaney and net as far as the shot clock goes.
Yes. No, they reset it. I thought they reset it.
I don't think so. I think it was at 60 when we. It's just that's where it stopped. It just stopped at 60. It just stopped at 60. Let's go. Let's play.
Douglas Donovan, Jeffrey Hoffman, and Danny Zima are officials today, just making sure that the clock is in the right spot.
You know, we talk of all the losses that Notre Dame had from a year ago, right? With Eric Dobson at the midfield, and Pat Cavanaugh wins the Tewaaraton, Liam Entenmann.
That was a great save.
The amount of talent that's back on this team right now is frightening. I mentioned the Open, 9 preseason All-Americans. If you're Maryland, you got to play mistake-free lacrosse. That means clearing the ball exceptionally well, playing like your hair is on fire for those 50-50 ground balls, and just owning those little spots to get an extra possession here or there.
And getting a great game from McNaney to steal you a possession, steal you a goal or 2. He's got 5 saves on the day already. Spanos been the offensive star for Maryland.
Called a moving pick there this time. See, Maryland wants to get into the pick game to get the matchup because they know Notre Dame will switch.
Buckner, the bouncer, too high. Saw his fellow football player in Faison scoring, and 12 in white says, let me show you what I can do. Let me show you what a QB can do. On the dead ball, Maryland calls a timeout. We're going to keep it here, though, at Bobby Dodd.
There's a look at John Tillman. Jesse Bernhardt is his defensive coordinator. This unit is only allowing 7.5 goals per game. They like to play a packed-in defense because you have a goaltender in Logan McNaney forcing teams to shoot from the outside. I think they have the matchups to keep it close with the Stars of Notre Dame. We have some credible matchups on the docket, Cotter.
Yeah, men's and women's. A lot of women's games coming up on the ACC network. Looking forward to that. This Notre Dame team will take on a somewhat resurgent Ohio State team next weekend. And
Georgia
it was the best
Tech.
time to
1990.
ever.
Tell us about that year.
1990 when I was a student here. They won a national championship on this very football field. Basketball team went to the Final Four, led by Kenny Anderson and Dennis Scott. Baseball team was ranked #1. Golf team was ranked #1 at the time. I mean, it was the best time in the history of this school to be a student.
Kenny Anderson was one of the biggest high school recruits of all time. I remember him. He played for Archbishop Malloy in New York City. The buzz around him for years. And I remember when he came down here to Georgia Tech. And
he came down here and we saw him on Fan Picture Day before he ever played a game. First time we ever saw him, we were like, this little kid is the best point guard to ever come out of New York City. And boy, did he prove that right off the bat. Loose ball to your point, Clark. Maryland's got to win all those 50-50
This guy can shoot, too. That's A.J. Larkin. He hit a jump shot against Syracuse in transition. I said to myself, Poles should not be shooting that well, that fluid, when you're coming down on a break and hammering it.
6 turnovers for the Irish here in the early go, and that's the one thing that hasn't worked out really for them in their favor so far.
What section are they?
Schultz on the run. Trying to take advantage of the short stick matchup, although that short stick is Ben Ramsey.
Who's also the new bagpiper. And I spoke to his parents yesterday on the plane. He took the offseason super seriously with the bagpipe. I'm not kidding.
Yep.
There's a gentleman named Sebastian who runs the bagpipe club in South Bend, and he spent hours and hours refining his game. Quinn's going to be critical.
I don't know. I think Q's already given him the seal of approval already early on. It's only March 1st. Again, Schultz takes a shot and scores!
I love the upside of Schultz. When I was getting ready for this game, I went into the archives and watched his high school highlights, and I could not tell if he was right-handed or left-handed. When you watch him last week against Princeton, he goes down the alley and he hits a bullet on the run with his left hand. This time, he does it on the opposite side of the field against maybe the best short stick D-midi in the country, and the bagpiper, Ben Ramsey. How does he get that goal? It's the feet, man. He just caught him kind of guessing. Is he going to split back? Is he going to go down the alley? I thought the deceptive movement with his feet and the stutter and the hesitation just gave him that space he needed to let that one go.
Third of the year for the freshman from Ridgewood, New Jersey. First tie since we were 0-0 at the start of this game.
New Jersey State Player of the Year.
Outstanding job by Lynch. Not only winning the face-off, but keeping possession.
No, we need them inside here. Where are they in here?
Chris Reinhardt gets rid of it, checks out. Now we'll see a little 6v6 here for the Irish. Face on, putting it in play. You know, if you're face on and you played a little last week and you scored a goal, you're like, Coach, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Enough of the time off.
I'm 20 years old. It's ridiculous. Anger comes up field, shoots too high.
That's a good call. Canfield was definitely closer to the ball when it went out of bounds. Let's see if the Terps can clear off the pressure from Chris Cavanaugh and the Fighting Irish.
Got to clear it past that midfield line at the 60 mark on the shot clock, and they do it with 2 seconds to spare. Now Keegan.
So Maryland's getting success from early offensive dodging, where we saw Spanos late in the first quarter, and then finding matchups with guts like a freshman and Jack Schultz going after a senior in Ben Ramsey.
Keegan trying to muscle his way through, can't do it on Ramsey.
See how quick they switch? Now you have the switch. Use the pick game because you get the switch.
Urksa scores! Flag down on the play. The officials talk about it in the crease. The Maryland players want confirmation on the goal. They haven't gotten it. They're going to wave it off.
Let's take a look. They're saying he's in the crease. He does not land in the goal mouth. Is he pushed as well?
Or does he land in the goal mouth? Watch this. He makes contact with Richard Deli.
Yes, he does land in the goal mouth. That right knee lands in the goal mouth. That's a good call. The ball crosses the plane of the goal before he lands in the goal mouth, but you cannot land in the goal mouth unless it's from a defensive push, and the player's movement towards the goal mouth. Was the push so far?
Yeah, so far away that because he keeps his footing after the push. Watch Ramsey does get him on the back a little bit, and he keeps his footing. See, he's still up with his footing. Then he loses his footing and into the goal mouth. And Richard Ellie says, hey, wait a minute here. I'm protected inside that semicircle. Inside the circle is the goal mouth, where the goalie is fully protected inside that goal mouth semicircle, the ice cream cone, if you will. Our officials are really looking hard at this one.
Well, now there's a coach's challenge, it says, as well. But originally, it was the official's challenge. It's a Maryland coach's challenge, so if could cost Tillman a timeout if he's wrong. There's a lot going on here because of that flag that was thrown.
Right.
It's pretty easy if the flag isn't thrown.
Yes.
He's in the goal mouth.
The officials, before any of that happened, deemed that there was a penalty.
After the review, the player's in the crease prior to the ball crossing the goal line. It hits the post and then goes in. He's in the crease before the ball crosses, so there's no goal.
Okay, I can buy that, but what about the flag? What happened to the flag?
Exactly, what happened to the flag?
And that's what Coach Tillman, I think, wants to know. There was a flag thrown, and it was a coach's challenge from the start, Clark, we're finding out. Yeah. So he'll lose that timeout if
it's
that's
worth
the case.
it. In the first half, when you have two, it's worth it. So they're saying that the player was in the crease or the goal mouth before the ball crosses the plane. So they're saying that Urksa landed in the crease or the goal mouth prior to the ball crossing the plane. That ball hits the pipe too.
Right.
Has to cross the goal line.
And Notre Dame is a man down.
There's your flag.
Yep, so they didn't give us the call, but that is the case.
So the flag was on the initial.
The push, right. Ramsey's push. So it'll be a 30-second man up for Maryland.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1,
and the Irish do a nice job of killing off the penalty and getting possession back. It was a disastrous man up for Maryland.
Yeah, the Terps have been good on the extra man. 50% heading into this contest. 4 for 8. It's been ball movement and some good outside shooting on the low left wing by Matthew Keegan.
Rockwood brings the ball up on the punt return, apropos on this field. And another Atlanta guy, Fisher Finley from Alpharetta, number 6 in white, on this first midfield line for the Irish. Second midfield line, actually, because here comes Maharis.
Finley's getting confident.
Big fella, 6 in white.
Yep. Scored in the national championship game against the Terps last season.
6'6", 225. That shot from Kavanaugh hit his teammate. Ball's loose. Nice job defensively.
This defense is settling in. I mentioned Jesse Bernhardt has done a fabulous job with this unit, surrendering less than 8 goals per game.
Jordy Holmes did a nice job. He'd been on the field for quite a bit. Was able to dislodge that ball, get it back to the offense. So now Maryland needs to settle in a little bit here. They had that goal taken off the board. Man up didn't work out for him. Now 6v6.
I liked what Urksa did, though, on the last possession. When he was getting defended by Sean Light, he knew that he could get the switch off the pick. I'd like to see a heavy dose of the pick game against these close defenders to get those short stick matchups that Notre Dame is okay with them having.
Spanos already has a couple, 7 in black. He'll move it over here to Keegan. Gets by his defender initially. Now the slide comes. He'll put it back up top to Ford.
I'd like to see Keegan on the other side being a lefty. He's losing his angle on the dodge by going back to the left hand when he starts at this upper right side.
Now he'll work to the other side as Ford tries to get it inside. He does. No angle though for the shooter. Now he finds one and scores. Daniel Kelly. Not just one for the Terps. And Maryland takes
to his advantage. I think his shooting has improved big time over his 4 years at Maryland. It's been a bright spot for John Tillman and the Terps. I know Coach Tillman loves Seven's leadership, his attitude, and his love for the game of lacrosse.
Lynch continues to get the better at the faceoff dot. Not only do they have possession, but now we've got a flag down. This is going to go against Maryland. So a delayed call against the Terps. We'll see the Irish, unless they score here, with their first man-up opportunity of the afternoon.
Lynch is dominating right now. 8 face-off wins to Maryland's 1. Just feeding this offense. You worry if you're Maryland playing this much defense with those extra possessions.
Boost and kill, forced behind the cage. Again, a delayed call against Maryland on the first whistle. Inside, Taylor scores though. And Jake Taylor makes certain we won't get an opportunity to see Notre Dame man up yet this afternoon. They'll wipe the flag off. We're even at 4.
Yeah. The push is wiped out. It's a 30-second technical. Goal is good. You have to make a decision. If you're going to not slide from Jake Taylor, you have to be like saran wrap on him. You just can't go. Here's the penalty that's wiped, and Will Lynch is putting on a clinic. But if you look at the Taylor goal, it was like they were showing a little bit. And Boosenkill is a tremendous midfielder. When you watch him, he is at the core of so much of the initiating for Notre Dame. That's not the defense. If you're McDonald for Maryland, you want to play on Jake Taylor. You can't be behind him when he's cutting to the ball. Like, you have to be between your man and the ball. And being behind Jake Taylor, like, he senses that out and he times the cut. He doesn't leave too early because he wants Boosenkill to kind of mature through the offense.
Right. And these players on his teammates know how to find him in all the right spots, don't they? And once he catches it in front, he's deadly.
But he toys on defenders off ball. Like, he knows he could have cut earlier probably, but he just knows, okay, if I wait an extra second, then I'll get Boosenkill to find me. But Boosenkill, 23 in white, like, the stats don't reflect how good he is. Like, when you watch their offense, if there were hockey assists in lacrosse, he'd have a ton of them. This time he gets a real one.
Face onto the middle. Angrick, now he cuts to the middle. Thought he had a shot, but he gets laid out. Boosenkill, though, picks up the loose change and buries it. Irish back on top.
The Terps play this well from a physical perspective, but the ball gets dislodged and an unlucky bounce. That's a good, hard play. Oh, wow. Angrick is able to hold on to that ball. I thought the ball was dislodged the first time I saw it live. This is a tremendous play by 10 and white. Look at Angrick. Hold on to the ball and find Boosenkill. That's amazing. I thought the ball flew out because of the hit.
Yes. Instead, Angrick was able to get the assist, finding Boosenkill. What a play.
The level of difficulty to get smacked to the ground, continue your cradle, and to make the pass. Wow.
Keithler battling. Just the second face-off win of the afternoon for the Terps at a time they needed it.
They've been able to answer before behind Eric Spanos and Daniel Kelly, their cagey vets. Sprinkle in a little freshman Jack Schultz. The varied offense of the Maryland Terps.
There's Schultz right there on the shorty, back to his right. Spanos got his defender on skates a bit. Ricciardelli was able to go up the ladder and rob him. 4 saves for Ricciardelli.
How great is this day, too? We need more neutral site games in the South in the early season. This is terrific.
Great weather. Ramsey brings it up. Georgia Tech did a great job of welcoming these two teams here. When you think about scrubbing the football lines, it looks so
amazing.
Great.
Incredible.
To have basically a lacrosse-only field at one of the most famous football stadiums in college football.
Props to Jason Breo and the 285 lacrosse group, bringing these two teams down, a rematch of the national championship.
Face on, full head of steam. Quick passing. Oh, Kavanaugh wanted to shoot that one before he caught it.
Because he had the angle. He knew that if he caught that ball, Maryland was sloughed in, was going to give him that opportunity to set his feet and let it rip. Here's a free play.
Yep, this is against Notre Dame.
It's offsides.
Spanos looking to take advantage of a little bit of the haphazard nature right now. Once you're offside, you might as well stay offside, so the Irish will have an extra defender. Urksa. Nothing doing there. Back up top to Ford. Ford's got a shorty on him. Takes the shot. It's high. Now we'll get the call.
I think the Terps are going to need more of Ford from a dodging perspective. He can own a matchup. He's very two-handed.
30 seconds to be served by the in-home. 13 White will serve the foul. Offsides, technical foul. 13 White will serve the foul.
Jake Taylor will serve the 30 seconds. He has no business being on that side of the field, ever. Timeout Notre Dame. Up 5-4 here at the 3:07 mark of the first half. Well, it's March 1st, Clark, and we're about a month into the season. We've gotten a chance to see some real... Saw on that list our friend Ryan Hoff. Never hassled a Hoff. Miss having him on these broadcasts. Always wish him well.
Spanos. That's a lot of cushion. That is a lot of cushion.
And that is a bad turnover, man up.
That's going to drive John Tillman nuts.
They get it back, though. Can they take advantage here? Spanos, Urksa.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release.
Step down too high.
Notre Dame has shown to let teams get some opportunities to set their feet on the extra man. Opposing teams over 50% against the Irish in the first few weeks of the season. That's 2 blown opportunities for the Terps that they have to capitalize on.
Kept possession, though. Now at full strength. Dowd picks it up. Spanos has got the shorty on him in Alakwa. Opts to go back behind the cage. Jump shot. Ricciardelli makes the save. Backed up by Spanos. 5 saves for Ricciardelli.
That was Ford again. And that is the player I was calling out because I think he could get a matchup in this game. 24 in black. Has the quickness. He's playing with his right hand a lot. He's actually a natural left-handed player, so he gives you some versatility, but I think he's going to get a short stick on him consistently in this game.
Keegan used the pick. Means that Urksa now has the shorty on him. This is advantage Maryland. Can't get free. Urksa went to high school at Lassiter High School, suburban Atlanta, up in Marietta. Spanos. Now he wants a pick to get the shorty on him. Gets a little bit of space here, but no angle to take a shot. Good look to Urksa. Couldn't handle the pass.
Some basic transfers and drop balls by the Terps, just uncharacteristic of them. When you watch their wins over Princeton last week, 2 weeks ago against Syracuse, just clean lacrosse.
Coach Corrigan wants to call a timeout here to talk things over. Just over a minute left to go in this first half. Very entertaining first half of lacrosse. Treating the fans here in Atlanta. There's Ryder Garnsey.
We're talking about him, the left-handed superstar, the PLL California Redwood. He ended up with 16 saves, 9 goals against. I thought that was a big moment for him to grow prior to meeting with the Terps, the #2 team in the country.
Yeah, last week, to your point, it was a first big test for them. And for him as a starting goaltender, this is a step up even from last week, having to come down here to Atlanta to take on the #2 team in the country. He's been up to the task so far. His Irish lead by a goal here. Final minute of this first half. Shot clock is irrelevant. So Fisher Finley and company will hold. When do you go to the goal here?
15, because if you miss and you have the backup, you get a second crack at it.
Finley. Push back behind the goal. Try to get the pick action to Kavanaugh. Instead, it's up top. Harris gonna have to make something happen. Tried to feed it inside, forced it inside, and between the leg shot. Hits the outside of the cage. Wow.
You're never safe with Jake Taylor. We've seen the unthinkable from 13 and white. Twisters and championship weekend behind the backs today. Tries it through the legs.
5-4 our halftime score. Pay a visit to you in Charlotte North.
The question for John Tillman is, where are the matchups? Do you go specific to players or do you go to the pick game? And you can get similar results that way. So do you want to get Notre Dame into a pick game where they're going to switch and they won't be necessarily too concerned with matchups, or do you want to identify the matchup in early offense right away? That is something that I think he will figure out and will tell a big tale in terms of how their offense plays in the second half.
Maryland has gone primarily with Shea Keithler at the faceoff dot. They could throw Sean Crater out there, but they're going with Keithler.
That should be a push. Crater was one of the top faceoff guys in the country 2 years ago as a high school player. Keithler has the experience, and both of these guys got to go against Luke Weirman last year in practice every day.
That'll make you better.
Who shattered every record.
Might frustrate you a little bit, but it'll get you better.
So what I was explaining, Cotter, is if you go to the pick game, then you go to your knowns with Urksa and Spanos because you could get them the matchups. Or do you find guys like Bryce Ford who's getting a shorty right away? So that's where you have to figure out offensively the way you want to attack in the initial stages of the offense.
Whittier out of the box. Urksa. Nowhere to go. Slide comes, forces the errant pass.
That's the type of play that's going to drive Tillman crazy. Basic transfer. Like, you have to make that pass if you're Maryland.
Here come the Irish. Ramsey stays on to set a pick for Kavanaugh. Can't get under his defender. Now he goes to the other side. Look at the attention he draws.
That's advantage Will Schaller. Like I said it in the first quarter, you don't want to get into the body against him. He's too big. I think Chris Kavanaugh has been really effective as a Dodger when he sweeps up top and he plays in space. He's got that part of his game. I think when he gets into the body of Schaller, you're playing to his strength. Kavanaugh is so exceptional, dodging all across the offensive zone. Stay away from goal line extended, go more towards the space and sweeping. He did that last week. against Georgetown. You saw him doing some like traditional midfield type dodges, sweeping from across the top part of the offense.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I got 3 here.
Spanos on light. That's been a great matchup to watch all game long. 7 in black, 90 in white. Ford, tight angle, scores!
This is exactly my point. You don't need a pick if you decide to go with this type of matchup when you have Ford, who has a short stick on him right away. That's Ben Ramsey now has been beat for 2 goals. One against Schultz, now against Ford. And Ford is a natural left-handed player, but because of all these lefties on this team, with Keegan and Whittier, he's got to play the right side, but he just shows you he's able to do that. He absorbs the initial contact of Ramsey and then bounces to get his hands free. That is a big-time goal by the grad student.
Talking to Coach Tillman about Ford, he said when he was at Fairfield, he was the man, and he knew transferring into Maryland, he didn't have to be the man anymore, but Tillman says, sometimes I need you to be the man.
But the common denominator with him and Keegan, who was at Binghamton, they were both leading scorers of their teams. They were the top of every opposing team's scouting report. They had the top defender on them all the time. Now they have short sticks on them.
Keithler just battling for that loose ball. Maryland fans wanted a pull down, a takedown, didn't get it, and it ends up with the Irish. We are knotted up here in the 3rd quarter for the 3rd time today, all tied at 5 apiece.
Last week, Chris Kavanaugh went against Ty Banks, who has a similar stature to Will Schaller. Smaller, really strong, fire hydrant type defenders, and he beat him in space early in that game when he dodged down the alley up top. I'd like to see that from him.
Inside, wide open, save made!
That's where you see McNaney's experience. Not too jumpy, he's not biting on that first fake.
Now Maryland. Schultz, the freshman, has a goal already in this game. Dirksa. He gets a step on his defender. Slide comes.
He's got the speed. 10 in black is a blazer.
Here's Stobaugh. Down the alley. He draws the slide. Now back to X and Schultz. Inside. Kelly couldn't get it to Schultz, but Schultz tracks it down. Back up top to Kelly and over here to Spanos. Aiken. Spins back now to his right, doesn't have an angle on goal. Aiken again, he's got his defender hung up. Looking for a cutter, couldn't get it to Kelly. Now he comes upfield, tries to roll back, shoots, and scores. They'll wave it off, though. It was a shot clock violation a second before he got off a spectacular shot.
That would have been incredible. Aiden Aiken scored the first goal of his career last week against Princeton, goes airborne just 1 second too late.
Hey, the Ally ACC women's basketball tournament begins Wednesday in Greensboro. We'll have all first and second round action for you, as well as 2 quarterfinal matchups right here on the ACC network. It is that time of year.
You watch this Terp defense. They pack it in. They know they have a goalie in Logan McNaney. They want you to beat them from the outside.
Turnover. Maryland's done a nice job, I think, particularly here in the 3rd quarter, Kark, of turning Notre Dame over.
It's all about technique when you play for Jesse Bernhardt. You have your stick up in the passing lanes and frustrating the feeder in Kavanaugh. Jackson Canfield just gobbled that one up.
Possession time weighed heavily toward Notre Dame in that first half, but Maryland's, I think, taking that mantle here in the second. Tough angle by Erksa, just fires it high. Hopkins came back and won that game against Virginia, 13-12.
They're finding ways in these tight games. Lost last week to North Carolina, but some tight victories against Loyola, Towson.
They've played a tough schedule, too.
Brutal. You look at that schedule.
Every week.
There's no gimmies.
So Virginia continues to try to find it before ACC play starts in earnest. Keegan was getting mugged, had to get it to Whittier up top. Ford trying to find some space where there isn't any. 10 to shoot. Spanos gonna have to make something happen here. Has no angle. Light shut it down. But he gets it up top. Ford scores!
What a pass by Eric Spanos. You see the defense shading to the ball carrier. Where's the opening? It's diagonal. Look at all the white shirts. Discombobulated. The backside's open. And what did I tell you earlier about Bryce Ford? He's a natural lefty. He's at his sweet spot. He's got the time. He's got the room. He sets his feet and pounds that bottom corner. That is patient offense. That is experience by Eric Spanos. A tremendous pass.
You saw the explosion of emotion from this Terrapin bench, the coaching staff.
You're hearing them calling the shot clock down.
Yep. Head coach John Tillman, you saw Michael Phipps, Phippsy, the offensive coordinator, loving that finish.
That's the difference, though, in a KG vet. Spanos, clock and score, right? Aiden Aiken before, he hasn't been thrown into the Wolves too much prior to this season. He had that tremendous goal where he flew through the air, but a second too late. The experience of Spanos paid dividends on that last pass.
4 lead changes in this game. What else would you expect when 1 versus 2 match up? How did the Irish respond? Kavanaugh, he's the one they'll look to. Can't get under his defender. Picorni tried to get it. Instead, he'll be in the crease. Turnover again.
See, there's 2 things when you pack it in defensively. One, you take away the inside shot. And you force the shooters from the outside. But you also have the slide help right there. So when Kavanaugh gets a step on Schaller, there's a black shirt ready to go. They're packed in, and they are in unison. I think Jesse Bernhardt is an incredible defensive coordinator for John Tillman.
12 turnovers now on the day for the Irish. Terps trying to extend the lead to that rarest of a 2-goal advantage in this contest.
Hey, you guys gotta go to all your seats because everybody can't see behind you.
Making a pick. Schultz now to the far side. Aiken almost knocked off his feet, but he's able to stay on top. Stovall fires it high. And the race to the ball on the end line, won by the Irish and Will Gallagher. It's the second time today he's made a great hustle play to get possession back to his team.
TV timeout coming up, under 7.
If I'm Notre Dame, I'm putting 14 in white on the field. Oh, they get off sides here. That's a tough, tough blow.
Coach Corrigan, if I'm coach, I don't want to be in that huddle. We're coming close to a TV timeout here, Kark. I don't want to be in Coach Corrigan's huddle when we get to that timeout.
Or be responsible for the box if you're the coach.
Too many mistakes by the defending national champs. Uncharacteristic here in this third quarter.
And if you do that with a John Tillman team, they will capitalize. If this team scores late in the shot clock, and they can continue to do that, that is a world of hurting for any opposing team. Methodically will dissect you. Spanos was able to do it on the last go.
Keegan here, door shuts on him. They'll bring it back to Spanos. He's got Gallagher on him. Tough angle here. Ricciardelli shuts the door. Now Ramsey will look to clear it on his own, and he'll easily do so.
And I was mentioning Faison, 14 and white. I know they're gradually getting him back in the mix after a football season. But in some critical parts of this second half, I just want him out on the field because he's used to going against a long pole. You just have that alpha up there from a dodging perspective.
Instead, it's Maharis and Jeffrey and Finley, your midfielders. On the run, McNaney saw it all the way. 7 saves.
I like the burst by Jeffrey, but you got to change up your shot against McNaney. I mean, that's 2 for a buck.
That's one of my favorite sayings from you all the time. Dangerous here. McNaney loses a stick. This is a problem for Maryland. Oh, what a defensive play! Will Schaller with an empty net behind him. I got to see that again.
You thought it was a lock with McNaney caught out of the goal. Empty net, desperation mode. That's a good ride by Jeffrey right there, and just misfortune. Schaller all over the place for the Terps.
I couldn't even see whether he hit it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an open goal. Like a 2-on-1 in basketball. Here's Faison, makes one man miss, then gets the ball knocked out of his stick.
What a grounder by Schaller. Terps in transition.
Oh my goodness, Daniel Kelly lights up the crowd here at Bobby Dodd.
I told you earlier, there are times they want to run, and they can run because of the sticks of their defenders. They've shown in the early stages of 2025, they will push. Larkin's been a goal scorer, but that time he knows. Give it to the hired lefty gun, the senior Daniel Kelly, making it rain in Atlanta. Of a game a little different then.
Right. But the one constant, that man right there, and a Kavanaugh, suiting up for Notre Dame. Matty Ice, of course, the first of 3. Pat followed, won the Tuareton Award. Now Chris hoping to lead the Irish to an unprecedented 3 straight national championships. Another face-off win for the Irish. In a very close game, that is the one area where Notre Dame has dominated all afternoon long. But they only have 5 goals on the board.
It's been the defensive effort of the Terps. Pack it in approach. Chris Kavanaugh right now being defended by Will Schaller. Schaller's been amazing in this game.
Well, you get them the ball there, and Jake Taylor doesn't miss.
Can't defend Taylor like a typical crease guy. He's shown you over the years he has some range too. So right there, Burles just shows too much. That is not the time to slide off of Jake Taylor. He's not beat. Your defensive midfielder is not beat. Why show there and create offense to one of the most lethal inside guys around? I would force Notre Dame and their midfield to become passers off the dodge without showing. Like, own the one-on-one matchup and then slide if you have to if someone's beat. No one was beat there.
This time it's Sean Crater who wins the faceoff for Maryland. We'll see 25 and 23, both taking draws throughout the course of this game and season for Maryland, and Crater gets possession to his team, now leading by a goal.
You can't give Notre Dame chances if you're the Terps. You have to be on the same page. Have Jalen Seymour be a shooter down the alley as opposed to Jake Taylor setting his feet from up top.
Whittier, look at that look. Gets it to Keegan out of the middle of the field and shoots it just wide.
Light covers so much ground because Urksa is a jitterbug 10 and black, and Light 90 is matching his feet. It's like long strides against choppiness.
Spanos beats Alakwa. Now the slide comes. From distance, it's Schultz, his second of the day.
Someone needs to tap this kid on the shoulder and remind him he's just a true freshman. And I say that because his confidence is off the charts. When I watched him last week against Princeton when he scored 2 goals, he was going to the rack like it was a summer league game. Like, he is going. He's not going to be denied. Spanos again pries the defense, gets the eyes on him. I think Spanos has had one of the cleanest games, not just as a goal scorer, but the pass to Bryce Ford and how he held that ball the extra second to give Schultz the space to operate.
Back to a 2-goal advantage for Maryland. Crater wins another one.
It's getting them when they count.
That's 2 in a row for Sean Crater, the freshman.
This Maryland team tested. Played a good Richmond team. 1-1 against Loyola on a Matthew Keegan goal. Beat Syracuse, beat Princeton. Early tests. Notre Dame had the test down in the nation's capital last week against Georgetown. There are other games, not so much. Cleveland State and Marquette. Won by over 12 goals in both games.
Indoors in their indoor facility there at South Bend. It's a whole different ball game here today. That one deflected high and out. Urksa backs it up though. Notre Dame thinks they were closest to it when it went out of bounds. You see assistant coach Ryan Wellner pleading his case on the far sideline. I think the officials couldn't find where the ball was. It deflected so high up in the air. Where did it go out of bounds? They're keeping the call with Maryland, though, as it was initially. Urksa loses it.
There's Light again.
If you're a Notre Dame fan, ball don't lie.
Sean Light is a lockdown bona fide star. He's got Team USA written all over him, PLL All-Star. He's just a sophomore. Get him for 3 more seasons.
Harris gonna get a pick. Slide comes to shut him down, though. That was Burlace.
How are you going to defend Taylor? We've seen Maryland kind of go off of Taylor. Got to protect the inside.
Kavanaugh couldn't get a shot off. Stays with the Irish, though.
Scheller again with a trail check.
Here's Taylor way outside. Get it to Maharis. Now Taylor's going to go back inside along with Kavanaugh.
He's got Daniel Kelly on him. This is a matchup you have to stick.
Maharis, tough angle.
Keep Daniel Kelly on the field. 45 and black is an attackman.
Kavanaugh, tough angle off the outside. Ooh, big hit delivered right after the horn sounded to end this third quarter.
They survived the scare there, Maryland. You had Daniel Kelly caught. You buckled up. You played some big boy defense. And that has been the calling card in the early stages. Swarming defense for the Terps. He's not relying on anyone else. He is getting to the rack.
And unlike last year's national championship game, Clark, we go to the fourth quarter, and it's a nail-biter. It's a 2-goal advantage for Maryland. And how do the national champions play in this fourth quarter when you know they've got the experience, the championship pedigree to take it back? And it starts with that man right there. Will Lynch re-exerts his dominance at the face-off dot. That time Maryland opted to go with Keithler. It seems like Lynch has gotten the better of 25 in black. Keithler for much of the day. And here's 14. Here's Faison. We haven't seen him in a little while. Maybe giving him just a little bit of a breather before this fourth quarter. Now we'll see more of him.
He looks like his right ankle has some tape on it. I don't know if that's for precaution or pre-existing injury. But there's Larkin on him. I've been mentioning Larkin in transition. Larkin and McDonald. And then you have Campese and Donovan. These are two of the best tandem long stick midfielders in the country on the same field today.
Busenkill will look for a pick from Kavanaugh. To McLean. Over to Angrick. Angrick working on the short. He gets back to his left. Has a shot here. Opted not to take it. Had an alley there. Now Faison. Slide comes. Kavanaugh. Inside of 10 to shoot. He's going to have to make something happen. Flies through the air and scores! And it's good!
This is ridiculous. And it's vintage Chris Kavanaugh. As his family looks on. Get the pick set by Busenkill, and then it's airborne. And there's no goal mouth to deal with behind the cage. Ball crosses the plane before he lands in the crease. The timing to launch.
And the placement high above McNaney.
You know you're getting drilled here. The strength and the extension of the stick
Into the corner.
This is a thing of beauty. Balance, strength, and skill. The balance to hold yourself there for that extra step prior to the crease. The strength not to get totally dislodged behind the cage, and then the skill to pop it underneath the crossbar. That is sick.
His 195th career point. Maybe the most beautiful of them all for Chris Kavanaugh. And it's back to a 1-goal game.
And he's never out. Like, Schaler's been really good in this matchup. Kavanaugh is always going to keep going. 110 miles per hour. That's another offsides by Notre Dame. That is uncharacteristic of the Irish.
Quick start here for Maryland. And they find a player inside. Xerxo scores! Disastrous turn of event after the gorgeous goal from Chris Kavanaugh. And it's back to a 2-goal advantage.
Second box violation in this half. Quick offense. We know Maryland likes to go slow sometimes in the half-field sets, but don't tell me they don't know how to play fast. You saw Larkin to Kelly in the third quarter, then a quick restart. They sense when they have an opening. They have a feel of when to go fast. Erksa knows it.
The local hero from Marietta, Georgia, just up the road from us. Played at Lassiter High School before playing his final year at IMG, and that man is concerned. Donovan tracking down this loose ball. Keithler giving chase. It'll be the Irish.
Lynch is heating up again. Owned the first quarter. And Keithler kind of found a little bit of a groove.
And then Crater won a couple of them.
Yep.
Maybe you just go with Crater the rest of the way. Although there's obviously rhyme and reason behind it for Tillman. Finley. Kavanaugh. Quickly up top. That's Jeffrey. Both these teams have a superstar freshman who wears number 5.
They're not letting these midfielders get a run on their shorties.
Finley, tough angle, bounces it too high. Notre Dame backs up.
What I mean by that is they're engaging quick off the passes, so these Notre Dame midfielders don't get that giddy up and that head start.
McNaney got a piece of that bouncer, so it's a fresh 60 for Notre Dame. A prolonged offensive possession here for the Irish. Finley uses that big body, gets some space, hit the pipe. And he'll stay with Notre Dame. Good hustle by, that was like Jake Taylor tracking it down. It was.
He's got some jets I didn't know he had.
No question about it. He usually doesn't have to run that often in his space. Jeffrey, saved by McNaney. And a great outlet pass. 11 saves for the All-American. Ursa. Spanos scores!
This play has a little bit of everything. Watch the patience of Logan McNaney. I mentioned it off the top in the open. He sits on shots. He relies on his technique. Look how deep his stick is. Just sitting on that shot, not jumping around. Then it's transition once again. And look at the underneath. Whoop! Take those extra steps. Keep that angle popping. Spanos has been insanely productive in this matchup. In the patience of Spanos, we've seen it 3 different times. In the first quarter as a Dodger, when he went slow to fast. As a passer to Bryce Ford late in the shot clock. He could have shot that once he caught the ball, but he didn't have the angle. He knew if he dipped underneath and then went upfield, he would find the right angle to make it count. Spanos' IQ today has been off the charts.
Lynch, look at the beating he's taking in the middle of the field. Largest lead for either team on the day. 3 goals now for the Terps. The 2-time defending national champions are on the ropes here in Atlanta. Face on.
I thought he could have shot that. I thought he did a really nice job of playing the pick game, and 2 steps after the pick, he was staring at the full net.
Again on the shorty. Gets underneath the defender. Had to pass it up to Kavanaugh up top. No angle. Angrick to the middle. Nice pass inside. Saved by McNaney. He's taken over this 4th quarter.
#12th save for the 6-year senior. National Championship Weekend MVP in 2022. 2023 blows his knee out against Loyola early in the season, comes back, brings the Terps to the title game a year ago against Notre Dame. And man alive, is the experience shining through with #1 for the Terps.
Erk's on light. Here's Keegan on the shorty with the left. Ricciardelli, he goes up to make a nice save. That's 7 on the day. Malacqua clears it.
You know, when you look at a goalie that works really extra hard to make every save and you feel like you feel their energy, you almost have to check Logan McNaney's pulse. He is so calm. He's so in control. Like I said, the most experienced goalie in all of college lacrosse, 1 in black.
Kavanaugh, will he take over? Stays with Maharis and Notre Dame. That 16 in white is quick, isn't he? Now back to his right. Tough angle shot. It managed to get into the stick of a teammate. 40 to shoot, plenty of time, no need to panic. Inside between the legs, Kavanaugh can't get it past McNaney.
Look, a lot of times you're going to say that's not the right shot, but when your back's to the net and you don't know where the defensive pressure is coming from, you got to give Kavanaugh the green light on this to take a shot like that. Now, if he knows there's no one in front of him, he could catch it and turn left-handed and just score in front of McNaney. But in that place in front of the goal, oftentimes it's a traffic jam, and all the black shirts are there. Just didn't know he had that much time.
Coach Tillman wants to talk things over at the 7:48 mark. Notre Dame's won 3 in a row in this series.
Offense, a team that's been averaging 19 goals per game, they're being held to 7 right now because of number 1 in black. And you gotta love the fact, in the modern era, this is a jersey that means something. It's like 22 at Syracuse. Number 1 for so many years was given to that offensive star, whether it was the Joe Walters or the Matt Rambos, the Bernhardts of the world. And then the last couple years, John Tillman in the program decided to give it to just the player that best embodies the Maryland tradition. That is the leader of the team. That's why Brett Makar was the first defender of the modern era to wear it. And then Ajax Zapatello last year, and now he's the first goalie to wear it. And he's the right guy to do it.
14 saves on the day. He is having a sensational afternoon. The lead remains 3. Schultz. He has introduced himself, if you didn't know already, to the college lacrosse world, 5 in black today.
I watched him last week, and when I spoke to John Tillman this week, I said, wow, 5 as a freshman, like the confidence that he plays with.
Only enhanced by the fact that he gets to play with 7. Spanos now on the run, save made by Ricciardelli. He's going to try an outlet quickly. Shoveled over to Taylor. Great pass inside. Kavanaugh's not going to miss. Taylor's usually on the receiving end of passes like that.
Yeah, Taylor spot feeds Kavanaugh, but Will Donovan with the little goose play right there. That goes unnoticed. You won't see it on the stat sheet. Will Donovan just gooses it to Taylor because he knows there's some pressure behind him. Give it to Taylor, his hands are free, and Kavanaugh times that cut perfectly. And he shoots it at the right time, too, because if he takes another step or two, he's going to lose his angle. He knows it's catch, 2 steps, and a go.
3 goals a pop for Kavanaugh and Taylor on the day. The Irish, you knew they were going to make this one as difficult as possible for Maryland in this 4th quarter. Down to 2 now, the advantage for the Terps. And they get Will Lynch back at the faceoff dot.
With Lynch, this game is right in reach for the Irish. He's been putting on a clinic in spots today.
Beats Crater that time, 14th win for Lynch.
Lynch, one of those guys growing up, facing off at Chaminade. They had so many great face-off players. Machado Rodriguez at Yale. James Ball was at Georgetown. So Lynch was a regular midfielder. Got to play both ends. A lot of tread on the tire right now as a face-off guy.
Kavanaugh shoots, scores! And a flag on the end of it to boot. Notre Dame's going to go man up.
You can knock him down, but he's getting back up. There's no question about it. He's been amazing in this 4th quarter with 3 goals. Dodging in the last 2, shooting. He gets popped.
It's good. After the goal, black, number 6, late hit, 1 minute. It's a dead ball penalty. No face-off, no goal.
going to go against Gravino, Paul.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at this. Kavanaugh with that little hitch move, too. When he drops his plant foot, he gets some freedom from Schaller. And then Gravino comes flying out with the hit. Extra man opportunity for the Irish.
Remember him 2 years ago in the national championship game? A crimson mask, bloody face.
All blood. No face-off, too, because it was a dead ball after the goal.
Yeah, 50 will get up. There's no question about it. And now a huge opportunity here for the Irish. Storming back here in this fourth quarter.
Okay, they're deciding to shade Kavanaugh a little bit. Look how packed in Maryland's defense is.
Kill has a great shot up top there, and he opts not to take it. Now back to Kavanaugh on the far side. Now inside, try to force feed it in.
That's not where you're going to have success against this defense. Right now, whether it's all even or man down, they are packing it in. Inviting the outside shot. So who are the outside slingers? Dobson was one of those last year. He's not on the roster anymore.
McDonald can opt to shoot it instead. He passes it off, and it's a short-handed goal from Maryland, and a flag on the end of that goal. Wow!
Larkin and McDonald are as good of a duo.
Foul, push, wiped out, goes good.
McDonald right here in transition, just like Larkin, has the green light. And the timing of these attackmen, you saw Urksa earlier in the fourth quarter. Now Daniel Kelly, they know they have that short window off a whistle, off a transition to find that spot to strike. It's experience. We've seen Spanos in transition, we've seen Urksa in transition, and now Kelly in transition, all off the ball, coming from defense to offense, ignited by the long stick midfield play of A.J. Larkin and Jack McDonald. And McDonald's been a story for the Terps this year.
And you see Tillman unhappy because they waved the push off. I just thought it was late. And I'm sure Tillman thought it was as well.
Technical fouls.
Yeah, they'll wave it off.
Out. 30 seconds wiped out.
You didn't think that push was late, though? I thought that was the whole call. It was more late than within the play, but officials didn't think so. So we're even, and the lead is 2. That one, save made by McNaney. 4, 3, 2, 1. Yep, now we're even. I'm sorry about that.
Gravino
still call was still on. But here's another chance for Maryland.
There's Larkin. I'm telling you, these two, 51 and 26, have the green light. And they're going to be a problem because Maryland can play methodical in the half-field sets, or they can hit you in transition from defense to offense with their long stick middies or off of quick restarts. This is a team that knows how to play fast and slow.
Schultz on the run. Here's Ford. Testing, probing the defense. Keegan. Nowhere to go down the alley. Back up top to Schultz. Ford on the far side.
See, I would flip Keegan and Ford because Ford's more two-handed. And you put him on the right wing, put Keegan on the left. They have Keegan now multiple times on the wrong side of the field.
10 to shoot. Stays with Maryland, but just shouldn't have reset the clock that time. Coach Tillman and Maryland, they've got Delaware next week before they're at Virginia and begin Big Ten play against Michigan on the 22nd. Meanwhile, Notre Dame, they're against Ohio State at home next week. Spanos. Shot clock winding down. Ricciardelli takes it out of the sky. Ramsey will clear it on his own. No panic with the Irish. Under 4 to play. Down 2. Here's Faison. Getting a lot more run in this fourth quarter than he did in the third.
Kavanaugh's been the hot hand with 3 goals in this fourth quarter. He's been doing it as a Dodger and an outside shooter. You know he wants to rock in crunch time, 50 and white.
Here we go. Angrick comes back upfield to increase his angle. Skip pass. Tried to force it to Angrick. He does catch it. Now it's loose in front. Dangerously here. Just gets by the goal mouth.
I like how Chris Kavanaugh took Will Schaller in space, but Maryland was prepared. They were waiting and supporting that matchup.
Stamos clears it. Maryland more than happy to take their time to work a little bit of this game clock off. Ford. Now it's Keegan from Whittier. Working on the short stick. Malacqua. Keegan. Urksa. Maybe they'll play a little 2-man game behind. Instead, it's Keegan looking to take it upfield. Malacqua doing a nice job sticking to him. Tough angle shot, it's the pipe! Ricciardelli chases it down. He's in a little bit of trouble here. Throws it in front of his goal. Luckily, he had a teammate in Donovan. Here comes Will Donovan.
That was a big grounder by the first-year starting goalie, Thomas Ricciardelli. Find ways to make your presence felt. Saving the ball is one. Make a play outside of the crease when your team needs it.
Timeout for Coach Corrigan and Notre Dame.
Eric Spanos, redshirt junior, coming to play in the early stages of the game. Soaks an initial check and an over-the-head attempt by Greg Campese. And then he drops his foot in the turf. Shows you his ability to create his own offense with some calmness and patience. You see it once again. That is a guy who knows how to score goals. An inexperienced player catches that ball right around goal line extended, tries that low angle shot. He knows he has a defender flying out and trying to stop him. Does that face dodge in the underneath and creates a ton of space. What a leader, what a player, what a moment. But for me, so much of this game has been defined with Maryland's recognition of when to push. And they have the personnel to do it. Jack McDonald, A.J. Larkin as the long stick midfielders, they've been tremendous all season. You turn on the tape, you watch the Syracuse game when Maryland beat them down in College Park. McDonald was a difference maker. 7 ground balls in that game, all over the middle of the field. A.J. Larkin in that game, jump shot for a goal. These are long stick midfielders that are part of the identity of the Terps understanding when to go, when to slow.
Coach Tillman barking out instructions to his Terps. Our attendance today here at Bobby Dodd, 10,137 people here in Atlanta.
What does that tell you? More neutral site games in the early stages of the season.
Look at this crowd.
In the South.
Where it's beautiful.
Beautiful.
It's an absolutely gorgeous day.
Especially these non-conference foes, because I get it, when you're in conference, you want the home field advantage. You want the team to travel, but you have a team in the Big Ten, a team in the ACC that play each other every year. Let's do it here. Let's do it in Cotter's hometown.
Makes all the sense in the world to everybody, especially me, which is the most important thing out there.
But it's great. It's great for the growth of the game. I mean, 20 years ago, there wouldn't be stars on this field that are local guys, right?
20 years ago,
Fisher Finley.
I mentioned to you, I used to call high school lacrosse games here locally over 20 years ago. There were 6 teams in Georgia in 2005. There are over 126 teams now in this state right now.
Give a young kid in the stands right now be doing this one day. And that's what it's about with these neutral site games. And when you go to places like Atlanta, Georgia, you have that opportunity.
Face on, scores on the run. There he is, 14 and white.
Oh boy, I was calling for him earlier because he's matchup proof. It doesn't matter if you put a pole on him or a short stick. You don't need to be gimmicky. You could just say, my athlete is the best on the field. And he flies and he sticks. The top corner, the opposite side of Logan McNaney, the lefty goalie, puts it across his face. I love the release too. He went from full stride to release all in one motion. Keep him on the field.
Huge face-off. Lynch beats Crater. Irish still have a timeout on the board. They'll burn it. 1:23 remaining.
See Chris Wojcik, offensive coordinator, putting some thoughts together with head coach Kevin Corrigan. Jesse Bernhardt and John Tillman on the other side will try to counter.
As we quickly look at some of the games coming up here on ESPN networks, several women's games not only on the ACC network but also on ESPNU with that Hopkins-Syracuse game rounding things out on March 10th, the day before. You got the men's version of that great rivalry on ESPNU. Notre Dame next week against Ohio State at 2 o'clock on the ACC network. We'll get to see more of Chris Kavanaugh.
I think he's been spectacular today in terms of finding his spots. It hasn't been all one-on-one because Will Schaller has been locked down at moments, but he keeps pressing and pressing, and you see the grit, throwing his body in the air, knowing he's going to get pounded. Love his off-ball play too, Connor. Senses where the seam will be and the timing of the pass of Jake Taylor. Right here is a fantastic ability to see a defender flashing out hard to try to get on his hands to stop him from shooting. He plays into that to get space, to free his hands. For me, though, as we see the goal chart from Notre Dame, no one's catching Randy Colley, it seems like. But Chris Kavanaugh has been so steady in the combination with Pat, his older brother who won the Tewaaraton last year. It's been a thing of beauty. But for me, what's going to define this last possession is how they play Jake Taylor. And Jake Taylor doesn't even need to touch the ball to make his presence felt, because Maryland is going to have to make a decision. If they support any matchups, are you going to leave Jake Taylor? And if you don't leave Jake Taylor can put himself in a position where the slide would have to go from. And if it's not there, it opens up a dodging opportunity for a Notre Dame teammate. So how do you play 13 inside?
Face on will put it in play. The freshman Matt Jeffrey on the field at this moment for Notre Dame. What confidence they have in him. Back to Angrick. Face on.
Look at Taylor inside. Are you going off of 13?
Busenkill will set a pick. Face on. Kavanaugh. Over here to Jeffrey, now back to Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh bounces off a defender. Now he's all alone. Shoots!
That's okay, because Kavanaugh is going corner or bust. And if you go bust, you have the backup and you reset.
No reset on the shot clock. Face on. Really irrelevant at this point in time. Here's Jeffrey. Freshman looking to dodge, getting in the middle of the field. Passes inside. Kavanaugh, stolen by McNaney.
It's a kick save, Connor.
And the race to the loose ball won by Schaller. 27 in black. His tremendous game continues with a hustle play to get possession. Now Notre Dame's got to attack. They got to get the ball back. High up in the air to the far end as the clock hits triple zeros. The Maryland Terrapins exact a little revenge after losing 3 in a row, including last year's national championship game here in Atlanta. And they take a hard-fought 1-goal win over the top-ranked team in the country, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
The team concept is real. Mike Phipps, the offensive coordinator for Maryland, has this unit buzzing. Jesse Bernhardt as a defensive coordinator, and the man in charge of it all, John Tillman, has his team prepared. But at the end of the day, your star makes the biggest play. Notre Dame had 9 preseason All-Americans. Maryland had just 1. It was the 5'9" goalie who made that incredible stop when it mattered most. Take a bow, Logan McNaney.
The graduate student from Corning, New York.
I made the top 3 just now. I got 5 eliminations just now.